Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Stories for Hope this Thursday evening. I hope everyone is having a wonderful holiday season. My name is Nicole. I've been with Plexus for about 2.5 years now, and we have three ladies that are going to be sharing tonight about how something that is so easy to fit into their schedule has completely made a humongous world of change in different areas of their life. Plexus definitely is a company that helps people in all realms, if it's physically, mentally, financially, and we have benefited in all or some or any bits or pieces of it all. I want to do a little disclosure that anything you hear tonight is that Plexus does not guarantee or that any of their products are going to treat or cure anything. We're here talking about how people have found relief and how the products have supported their bodies. All right, no further ado, I am going to pass the mic over to our first sharer, and we have as Miss Stephanie.
Hi, everyone. Just want to make sure you can hear me okay. All right. So thank you again for the nice intro, Nicole. And I know you had a busy evening as well. So thanks for pulling it together and hosting for us. So I gave some thought about how I wanted to approach this. And I think I have about 5 minutes. Is that correct, Nicole? So I joined Plexus kind of as a leap of faith, which if you haven't already, you'll hear many of those testimonies, not for myself, but for my son. And I can tell his story another day, but as a side effect of him starting these supplements, I rediscovered how much energy is possible to have. And, you know, I just turned 40, and people who know me, I know Tony's on for sure. I'm kind of known as a funky eater, and I grow kale because that's pretty much all I can grow, kale. Try to eat healthy. Wasn't really interested in losing weight, but we have 3 kids, a 16, 12, and a 9-year-old. So whatever I can do, I'm an energy junkie. I used to only run for that endorphin rush. Try to eat healthy because over the years I realized that certain foods didn't agree with me and would make me feel horrible. Excuse my language, but dairy, I renamed dairy ASS. So there were, just throughout, I would say the last 20 years, I've learned, you know, how my body is, but and eat well, exercise and whatnot, but didn't really realize how much I have benefited now from Plexus. So maybe just going back, even when I was in college, in the dormitories, my mom would send me prunes and canned spinach, no joke, because I was severely anemic. Talk about a downer. No one really wanted to snack in my room. But that I always assumed was normal for me and didn't have a lot of energy. So fast forward a few years and had our first baby, Ava, and breastfeeding her, super colicky baby. We were, you know, having a hard time with her. This was 15 years ago. So I went to a pediatric gastroenterologist and was told that it was perfectly normal for a baby on breast milk to not have a bowel movement for 21 days. So little taken back, but I'm a nurse myself. So did a lot of research, and probably, you know, the majority of my gray hair was with her, just trying to eliminate foods and figure out what was helping her, and really wasn't overly successful. So thankfully she outgrew it, and by the time she was a year, and you know, now even at almost 16, she's relatively fun to be around and no issues in that area. But that was the first kind of realizing that gut health. And yes, I'm reading a lot of the comments at 21 days. And, you know, we would get to the point of doing a stool softener because she was miserable. And to me, that wasn't normal. I don't really want to tell her story though. So fast forward, our third baby was born, and she had to have IV antibiotics when she was in the hospital. And as a nurse, I did a ton of research about that, and was confident even that, her microbiome was disrupted. Didn't really realize the effects until she was 6 months, also solely on breast milk, and we found out after months of trial and error that she was severely allergic to peanuts, tree nuts, milk, and egg. So again, I eliminated all of those foods from my diet. There was some talk in our healthcare field about probiotics. So I started the path of going to Access and spending way too much money at natural health food stores and trying to do my own research hours, trying to figure out what would help both of us, and discovered that dairy and gluten, were somewhat inflammatory to me because I felt better when I eliminated them from my diet. And Claire fully, she was perfectly fine once we eliminated those foods for about 6 weeks. So knowing that gut health was a real thing, but didn't really know how to address it beyond eliminating foods and trying to eat healthy. So Thomas, July of 2016, I know I'm jumping all around, but he had meningitis presumed from a tick bite, so hospitalized on IV antibiotics again, and then had literally, I would say, 3 years of just odd symptoms that we went to every specialist you can imagine, immunologists, rheumatologists, hematologists, and they all said, he just needed more time and to build his immune system back up. But the last straw was Mother's Day, I would say, of 2019, where he had orbital pain, so around his eye, and ended up having a lumbar puncture again because of his history with meningitis. And, I believe in a higher power, Mother's Day, and him being really sick, and ended up just leap of faith talking with Michelle. She's my leader, sponsor, Michelle Lowell. And because I stumbled upon her Facebook page talking about gut health and plexus, and did a little research on my own, and was very jaded and very skeptical because we had invested a lot already. But I said, excuse my language, what the hell, what do we have to lose? So looked into the products. They were really pure. I would take anything myself, but I was a little nervous about Thomas, where he was 12 at the time. So about a year and a half, really getting back to what Nicole said, it isn't life altering. It's a lot easier than what we've done in the past with eliminating foods and leaky gut and many, many different supplements. But honestly, it's a few supplements and a drink in the morning, which I'm sure if you haven't already, there are so many benefits from the pink drink. And now I am motivated to run. I don't have to push myself just for that energy rush. I really don't have a sweet tooth, which was huge for me. I always blamed it on my childhood that we never went without having a dinner and just with dessert. But now, we don't deprive ourselves of anything. I can eat dairy and gluten and feel okay. Thomas is doing phenomenal. I know, like everything, it's not a cure, and we're taking it every day, and thankful for our blessings. But I am so thankful that we just took that leap of faith and have a lot of hope. And in turn, it's just opened up many doors to reconnect with people, not just through Facebook, but just through conversations, and just being a little bit brave and saying, oh, have you ever thought about this? And then just sharing's caring. It sounds a little sappy, but it's amazing, the outreach and all the different journeys that people have taken with plexus and where it's taken them. So last but not least, being a nurse, I always like to be validated with lab work and whatnot. And I had said that I was anemic. So my physical this past summer, turning 40, they wanted to do blood work. First time ever I wasn't anemic. So that to me was proof that no wonder why I'm not as tired. And yeah, the ripple effect, Abby, is insurmountable. It's amazing. And my HDL was much higher. So those of you that know with cholesterol, your high density lipids, you want to, those are your good fats. And my LDL was a little bit lower. So I haven't changed anything in regard to diet and exercise. I've only added plexus. So I think it's the real deal. So that's it. I wasn't timing myself, but thank you so much, you guys, for allowing me to share a little bit. I'm happy to share Tommy's story another time.
You are awesome. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I am just thinking that I really need to hear Thomas's story at some point. So we're going to have you on another night.
Maybe he would join too. I always, obviously,
Yes.
yeah. I'm sure he would. He's a tough guy. Been through a lot. But
that would be awesome. Yeah. So it's wonderful. Like what Abby said, the ripple effect. Like when you start feeling better, you're able to do so much more.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you. Thank you so much for jumping on.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so now we have our next sharer. We have Miss Mary, and I'm going to pass the mic over to her.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Nicole, for asking me to join you guys tonight. It's my first sharing experience with Plexus, but I'm happy to do it, even though I'm a little bit nervous, so just bear with me. So I started Plexus it's really only been about 4 months. 4 months ago, my friend Sarah, she had been bugging me for months. A few months she'd been bugging me about this magical unicorn juice, as we all like to call it, She swore that I needed this in my life. And, the first few months that she bothered me about it, I was just like, no, it's not for me. Like, good for you. I'm all set. Thank you. Like, I'm good where I'm at. But I wasn't, I wasn't. This has been a really bad year. Like, it's just been a really hard year for everybody, with COVID and isolation from friends and family, coworkers, isolation from coworkers. So I have a 9-to-5. It's very demanding. I'm very busy all the time. I have a team of 25 people that report directly to me, and not seeing them every day was really hard to just manage them. Everybody's working remotely now. And so that was hard. That was new. We've never done that before. I've always had them at my fingertips, if you will. And so I was struggling with that. And then I'm an office manager at a very large law firm here in Michigan, where I live. And we closed the office because we had to, because of stay-home orders, but I still had to be there every day. There were still back office operations that had to be done in the office. So I had a small skeleton crew there with me when everybody else was remote. So, just the day after day toll that was taking on me mentally, it was draining. It was exhausting. I have an 18-year-old son and an almost 3-year-old son. And, my son graduated in June, but that wasn't normal for him. Like, he didn't get to experience that normal graduation that we wanted for him. Didn't get to say goodbye to his friends for the year. So that took an emotional toll on me as a mother, as it should. My almost 3-year-old, he'll be 3 next Friday, which is unbelievable, but, pulled him out of daycare suddenly because that was closed. It's still closed to this day. So we've been working remotely, me going back and forth between working remotely and working in the office. My husband's been remote 100%. Thankfully, his employer has been cool with that because we don't have alternative arrangements for my child. And so that's been stressful. My husband was stressed to the max, which was stressing me out on top of all of the other pressure and responsibility that I had in my job. And I was frankly losing my mind. And so, I was becoming cranky. I was irritable. I was sad. I was mad. I was lonely. Sorry, this it's touching, because everybody we talk about, everybody that does Plexus has a story and they have a why, and your why is emotional for you, right? And so this is emotional for me, but I felt like I was failing in all aspects of my life. I felt like I was failing as a mom and as a wife and as a boss. Excuse me. Let me regain my composure. I just didn't feel like I was somebody that people wanted to be around. I didn't even want to be around myself. And I knew that I needed to do something. And so my friend Sarah reached out again, and I said, you know what do I have to lose? I have nothing to lose. So I did it. I clicked on I was skeptical, I was skeptical, and I had some conversations with Sarah, and I had some conversations with my sweet friend Abby, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. That leap of faith, I'm going to do it. And I clicked enroll. And when I clicked enroll, never did I imagine that I would find what I needed to feel alive again. And the products are phenomenal. I mean, within weeks, and I know it's not instant for everybody. And but for me, within less than 2 weeks, I was feeling a difference. I had so much energy. I found my motivation to get off of the couch at night and on the weekends. I could get on the floor and play with my toddler, and I didn't even want to do that before because it was just too much for me, not physically, but just mentally and emotionally. It was too much. I didn't want to be bothered. I didn't want to be bothered with my own child. And how does that make you feel as a mom? So, I started the products, and within 2 weeks, I felt alive again. And I knew that this is where I needed to be. This is what I needed to be doing. But what has been the biggest blessing for me in the last 4 months are the relationships that I have rekindled with people that, they'd fallen on the wayside, and they were always important to me, but they weren't important enough to me to nourish them when I was struggling so much on my own. But not only, rekindling those relationships that I already had and I'd had for years, I've formed new friendships and new relationships, and the people in the Plexus community are phenomenal. They love me when I don't even love myself. They support me, they empower me, they encourage me. I won't go into details. I could talk Abby up all day long. She's phenomenal, and I love her to pieces. But I just feel, like I said, the biggest blessing to me in the last 4 months has just been the community. I had forgotten that there were people outside of my own circle of friends and family, that there were people that were capable of loving me. Like I said, I was in a really dark place earlier this year, and starting Plexus, starting my own business, it has given me a drive that I didn't even know that I had deep down inside of myself. I'm definitely a go-getter. I love to have goals, and I love to check things off of checklists. And so I set little goals for myself now. with plexus, but also just in my personal life. And it feels good to be able to reach those goals and to have multiple somebodies just pushing me and encouraging me. I feel like I have been blessed tremendously since starting Plexus, and I am sharing health and happiness now with my family and my friends. It's only been a few short months for me, but I've helped over a dozen people already. And that feels really good, you know, like there's some serious issues that my friends and family were having health-wise, and all it takes is me sharing about it on social media or in a text or an email or a phone call, to say, hey, let's talk about it. Let's see if I can help you. Each person that I've helped so far has genuinely reached out to me and been grateful that I talked with them about what I was doing, because it's, you know, they're feeling better. So again, it's only been a few short months. Never in my mind, in my right mind, did I imagine, I wasn't in my right mind 4 months ago, that never did I imagine that I would be able to be present again in my life. And it's pushed me to do a lot of soul searching. And I have made some changes in my life, like my marriage is better. I'm a better mom. I've got career goals outside of Plexus and my, you know, my normal busy 9 to 5. Like I've got career goals that I didn't have before. I've made some changes there that I was afraid to make before that are going to allow me to have like a better work-life balance to help support that, you know, that mental clarity and awareness that I so desperately was seeking. And I just want to share this little quote. Somebody shared it on Facebook the other day. I don't know who wrote it or who said it, but it says, surround yourself with the dreamers and the doers, the believers and the thinkers, but most of all, surround yourself with those who see greatness within you, even when you don't see it yourself. And I feel like that quote embodies everything that the Plexus community is about, and I genuinely feel blessed to have been invited to be a part of it. So thank you.
Mary, I'm going to try to talk without crying.
Me too.
There's nothing I can, it was amazing. And I totally feel for you. And you're absolutely, completely correct that the community is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for letting me.
You're welcome, honey. Okay. Sorry. All right. So our last share that we have on for the evening is Miss Kathy. And I only know a little bit of her story, and I know it's a huge one. So I can't wait to hear it. I'm going to pass it over to you, Kathy.
Thank you, Nicole, for, can you hear me? Everybody can hear me? Thank you for inviting me to talk tonight. Boy, that's pressure. A big one, huh? I could tell you a million stories. I'll start with, Michelle Borselli, who is also under Abby, had reached out to me probably almost 2 years ago about Plexus. And I was like, oh, what is she doing? I don't know what she's doing. You know, I wasn't really like, I felt like, oh, I'm not going to be taking supplements. I've never taken supplements before. I feel fine. So I ignored her for a while. And then at the beginning of last year, I started having stomach issues. I think if I look back now, I think I've always had some form of a stomach issue, but, you know, being like bloated and having all, you know, gassy, or, you know, I was constipated as a child. If anybody knows, like, has anybody heard of Senecot? When I was a child, I used to have like get a quarter of a teaspoon into my hot chocolate every morning. Like I had to have Senecot. So as a child, I was always constipated. But so when the beginning of last year, when I was the complete opposite and I was having issues no matter what I would eat. And it but I was like, oh, this is just normal. This is just aging. I was over 50. So it probably came to a head when we went on vacation in June. I started listening a little bit more to Michelle because I'm like, something's going on. I could never be away from a bathroom very long. And when we got back from vacation, it was like, I couldn't leave the house. I was really sick. And so finally I said to Michelle, you have to tell me what's going on with these products. Like I need to know, because I had my husband, maybe a little TMI for some people, but my husband caught me in the bathroom one time and it was full of blood. And he's like, you need to call the doctor. You need to have, and I've had colonoscopies before and I'm like, oh, it's just from the hemorrhoids or whatever. And cause I have 4 children. I have a 26, a 24, a 17, and I have a 13-year-old daughter. So, I always had hemorrhoids, and then also with being constipated, I've, seen blood before, but not like what I was seeing. And I was exhausted. I felt like, I was like at the end of my, like, what am I, not that what am I living for, but like, what else is there in life? Like, I just felt depressed. I felt sad. I was having headaches all the time. I would take Advil, like candy, like 8 to 12, headaches every day, but probably every other day I was taking the Advil. So you can imagine my stomach was a mess just from that. I mean, I would buy the big things of Advil and I get through it in like a month. So I went for the colonoscopy. I scheduled it. I had them before, and I wasn't surprised when they told me I had colitis. My father has had ulcerative colitis for over 50 years. So I know it can be hereditary. So I wasn't surprised, but what I didn't like was them telling me they were going to put me on meds that I would have to go have blood work done every 2 weeks to make sure it didn't affect my liver and kidneys. And I said, I'm going to take something that could actually hurt really, good working organs. Why am I going to do that? So that's when I reached out to Michelle. I'm like, you have to tell me I'm going to do plant-based supplements before I would like ever do this, take these meds. I've seen my father struggle for years, and he mixes up this lemony, limey drink that is horrible. He would have to drink just to get his ulcerative colitis under control. And actually they're on here tonight. It says Barb's iPad. That's my parents. So, and they're another whole story I could tell about, but, so Michelle's like, yep, this is what you should do. We talked with Abby. So I, like you, Mary, and I clicked that enroll button, and I was like so nervous, and I was like, oh my God, what am I getting into? We couldn't afford for me to be spending that kind of money on myself. In the beginning, I thought that this was an expense, but it's an investment in ourselves, because if we're not the best versions of ourselves, then what are we for our family? So I clicked the enroll, and then I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? I was so nervous. And then Michelle was right there, and she, told me step by step what to do and, what to expect. And I'm one of those people who I saw results right away. I'm talking like within 2 weeks, my colitis was not even an issue. And I couldn't believe it, because I was struggling since January, maybe even before that. I had acid reflux so bad, I've gone for endoscopy. So I've had the whole works done on myself. And within the first month, my acid reflux was gone. I didn't have any more headaches. My colitis was under control. I was just like floored, because I told Michelle when I started, I'm not sharing. I'm not, don't expect any of that from me. But when I started seeing all these amazing results that I was having, I had to share. I mean, my parents came from Florida probably within a week of when I started, and to see my mom with compression stockings on her legs, and my mom, she's got arthritic fingers that are fused, that she couldn't even bend. And I'm like, you have to go on these products. And my father's like, oh, you're not going on. That's just a scam. It's crap. He was more reluctant and waited probably a couple months beyond my mother and I, but my mom never wore those compression stockings again. I had her start my products, and we ordered more products. And she used to do, you know, fall asleep watching TV or in the middle of a conversation, and, you know, just real quickly, but those fused fingers, she can now bend them from her arthritis, and she's bending them. And my dad finally decided he was going to see what this stuff was all about. And now my father, within 2 weeks, now we're talking somebody, like, I know the rule of thumb is for every year that you've been sick, give it a month, right? So if you think about my dad, and he's had ulcerative colitis for 50 years, that should be 50 months, right? 2 weeks he was pooping solid, and this man had not pooped solid in over 20 years. I mean, you know, he's had the ulcerative colitis all these years. It almost killed him when he was in his 20s. But for him to be, you know, pooping solid, and he actually took the stuff and went to this doctor and said, how can I be on this stuff for 20 years that you guys gave me? And my daughter has me trying this plant-based stuff, and I'm pooping solid. He said, you know, so I can go on and on. I mean, my son was the next one besides my mom that I started. My son, Avery, was anorexic because of bullying in school. And he was in the hospital for like 6 weeks. His body was actually shutting down, and they had to put him in there. He had to gain like 40 pounds, but he was in there for 6 weeks. He gained 20. And when he came out, he had to eat over 4,000 calories a day just so he would not lose any weight. So the doctor was telling me, you have to do this, this, and this. This kid's got to eat. Well, he couldn't eat that much. And no matter the protein shakes and all this stuff, he would gain 5 pounds. He would lose 5 pounds. But I could never get him to gain for a year and a half. I couldn't get him to gain. So then when I started Plexus, he was also having major panic attacks, like 3 a week. I mean, he just was coming out of his skin. So I talked to Abby and Michelle, and I said, do you think this would be safe for him? Would it be okay? I knew Julia, Michelle's daughter, was on it. So I'm like, you know, for him, for like the anxiety and everything. So they're like, yes. So I put him, 2 months, he gained 20 pounds. In a year and a half, I could not get him to gain that weight. And just by starting Plexus, not making shakes anymore, him just eating regular food, and his body was, you know, he had to go on the X Factor, and I'm thinking he had the MTHR gene. I never tested him for it, but I think that, you know, the fact that within 2 months for him to gain the weight, and he never had any panic attacks again. I can count on one, like from going 3 a week to maybe he had 3 in the past year and a half. So yeah, I could go on and on, but that's like my story and my family story in a nutshell. And oh, I almost forgot to tell you, I went for a follow-up colonoscopy 2 weeks ago, and there's no sign of my colitis. So
I think that's amazing. That is really, really cool that you go back and then they tell you that there's no signs of the colitis. That is really amazing. Okay, and I have to say, out of all three, you 3 ladies have completely gotten me. I was already emotional before we got on, okay? You guys, like, your stories are amazing. So, Kathy, what would you say out of the products that you take, what would you say is one of your favorite ones?
I take almost all of them.
It's okay.
I honestly, I love my mix that I have. It's the collagen with my pink drink and the active every morning. I just love that mixture.
Yeah.
That like just gives me the pep I need in my step for my entire day. I mean, but I take X Factor, I take Vital Biome. I mean, I need the Vital Biome too, and the whole triplex. I do the collagen. I guess it would have to be the pink drink, right? Because that's what really is what's helped everybody when it comes down to it. No matter what other products you take, it's got to be the pink drink.
Yep, that definitely is a good one. It's what started the whole gut journey for Plexus was the pink drink. So yeah. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Kathy, for sharing. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, does anybody have any questions for our sharers? I know I'm reading the chat. All 3 stories were amazing. I totally agree. Totally agree. Everyone did great. I want to ask Stephanie really quick, because I know you had some refound energy. Is there a certain product that you take that you feel really helps with the energy you have, or?
I would say hands down the pink drink, or the triplex. You know, I have experimented a little bit, just trying to save a few, pennies and whatnot, and had ProBio and BioCleanse without the pink drink for a few months, and then went back to it. And I really think it's called triplex for a reason. So I think the pink drink really helps with me drinking water too, which only helps throughout the day. So yeah, I would say that foundation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You're welcome. Okay, so you guys, you all listen to these wonderful 3 ladies share these incredible stories from community to family health and their own personal health. It is all about gut focus. It's all about friendship. There's so much that Plexus offers. Okay, please reach out to the person that invited you here, that shared you this video. They love you dearly, and we wish you the best. Good night.